Now, would I recommend? Absolutely. Not only is this my second 5-star book in a row, this might even be one of my favourite books so far this year. Hi, my name is Terry Westwell and welcome back to Panic at the Book Club. This week we're discussing Yellowface by R.F Kuang. If you'd like to take part in this online book club, I do list the next 4 books down below and on TikTok along with the discussion dates. I also accept your book feedback in a wide manner of ways. You can comment below a video, send me a voice note, or even send me a short video of you discussing the book. Alternatively, you can just send me a direct message on Instagram. Although we discuss a book every Tuesday, I don't expect you to read a book every week. Unlike most book clubs, this gives you the opportunity to choose the genre that best suits you, as well as the time frame to read it in. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and maybe even give us a follow on TikTok. That way you can be alerted for new content and be aware of what books we'll be reading next. If you'd like to request or recommend a book, then please feel free to send those in too. Athena is a literary darling, and June is literally nobody. When Athena dies in a freak accident, June steals her unpublished manuscript and publishes it under a very ambiguous name, Juniper Song. But as evidence threatens her success, she discovers just how far she'll go in order to keep what she believes is hers. Just a friendly spoiler alert, if you haven't read this book yet, I would suggest going and doing that first, because beyond this point in the video, there will definitely be spoilers. Yellowface is written in first person, through the eyes of June Hayward, and for the most part, it keeps a relatively linear narrative. The chapters were all a relatively good size, but to be honest, it made no difference because I absolutely devoured this book. It was super simple and it was a pleasant read. It painted a really good picture of what was going on. Despite the main character being totally unlikable, it didn't feel like you were in her shoes, but it felt like you were witnessing events beside her. Not to mention, it was wonderfully descriptive without feeling like it was going on and on and on. June was an absolute terrible character, and by that I mean she was amazingly well written as a really person. She was bitter and jealous, and even when she wasn't being bitter and jealous, she was being a pompous snob who evidently forgot quite quickly where it is that she came from. To be honest, I usually hate books where I don't like the main character, especially if it's in first person, but June was just so psychologically fascinating. In starting off, you immediately get a picture of June's jealousy towards Athena, remarking how her first book advance seemed like a ludicrous amount of money, but that is until she saw just how much Athena was getting. She would actually put Athena on this pedestal and say how she suspected that the only reason Athena wanted anything to do with her is because Athena knew that June would never surpass her. Like, Athena essentially used her as a punching bag. But then in the next paragraph, it would explain how Athena would be overly apologetic if she felt like she had offended her. Not that Athena was perfect, but June just let her own insecurities and jealousy get in the way of the potential friendship she could have had with her. Throughout the whole book, she is comparing herself to Athena to the point of obsession. Like, in the first chapter, she even describes how she has the weird urge to carefully peel off Athena's skin and zip it up over herself. Like, that is not the sign of a healthy mind. June's denial would just go back and forth whenever it kind of suited her. When she originally reads Athena's book, she describes it as a beautiful piece of writing that she herself would never be able to write. But then when there was ever any editorial suggestions or criticisms on the book, it was always Athena's shoddy writing or Athena's fault somehow. She was constantly justifying stealing and publishing the book. Like, that's what a good friend would do, or, well, it was pretty much her book anyway because she rewrote most of it. The book was just full of justifications for what she did, and sometimes for a moment there you would think that she was feeling remorse for what she did, but then she'd just sort of shrug her shoulders and move on because, well, she's a rich and successful author now. She got what she wanted. She whitewashed the book, even after doing all of that research, and her publisher even requested or recommended some of the changes. Like, for a short moment there, I couldn't believe that they would let something like that happen. But of course it could. Like, it probably happens all the time in real life. Candice was thrown off the project just for doing her job, recommending something that clearly needed to be done. And then, yeah, I don't agree with her leaving the review on Goodreads, but then she loses her job over it. Like, I wasn't too surprised when it was her in the end. I definitely feel like they tried to throw in a couple of red herrings, but I really wasn't surprised it was her in the end. I do admit that I did entertain for a moment there that Athena was alive, but I couldn't help but feel really frustrated at how gullible June was. Like, how quickly she just admitted everything. I could sympathise a bit with June. She was never supported, and I certainly can sympathise with the struggles of a creative person. I could relate to getting an unsupportive response to a creative career. Like, most of us creative types probably have heard before that there's no point doing it because it's unlikely that you're going to make it, or because it's a hard world to break into, as though it's not worth doing anymore because of it. Not that that means we'd all steal from our friends in order to make it. The thing is, the book had an amazing way of getting you to really dislike the character, but kind of understand her at the same time. Almost even sympathise with her at some points. But then she'd do or say something that would remind you just how much of a terrible person she is, and you'd be like, well, don't feel bad for you anymore now, do I? Like, that feeling of understanding would quickly vanish. Like, her racism, I think the author did a fantastic job in capturing those moments that some people just don't seem to realise are racist. Like, it was written with such a delicate but realistic touch. Now, would I recommend? Absolutely. Not only is this my second 5-star book in a row, this might even be one of my favourite books so far this year. I think it's a perfect book for book club. It opens up a lot of very serious topics, while also having some excellent funny one-liners too. I feel like I've barely even scratched the surface on how I felt about this book. Like, I could legitimately go on for so long. But let me know what you thought. Did you enjoy the book? Lisa said they loved Yellowface. The author gives you an opportunity to really come to your own conclusions. It talks about some really tough topics. Lack of diversity, racism, cultural appropriation. Over on TikTok, Jennifer said that it was such a wild ride, while LM Chilton said that they absolutely loved it. Sarah said they had an odd relationship with Junie, in that they hated her so much. And I couldn't agree more. The character was written so well. It was like a car crash that you couldn't look away from. Junie would just not give up.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. It was you kept wanting to know what was happening, like it was hard to put down. Like definitely.
So my favorite part of the book was probably the first 30% of it. And it was just the fact that she was constantly trying to justify to herself what she was doing, and I found it so funny. I really loved how when she wrote that second piece, it turned out that she had copied word for word the first
That made
paragraph
me
or
laugh
whatever it
so
was.
much. I
Yeah,
didn't see that
same.
coming at all. Like exactly the same words. How can you be so stupid?
Her agent was like, I need you to write something else, and it's got to have absolutely nothing to do with Athena.
Such an idiot, but I kind of loved her as well. She was just absolute chaos. There were those few bits where she was racist, basically, and said it like what you were saying earlier, like she doesn't realize that she's doing it, and they were subtle, and it made me like, oh my god, this is. I did feel bad for her when they all assumed that she was Chinese, though, because I mean, on one hand, she shouldn't have made her pen name Song, because obviously people are going to assume. And then she was put in this really awkward position where she had to like not explain herself, but like say that she wasn't and stuff.
I was really disappointed that it didn't turn into a sort of supernatural book, if I'm honest. Like, I was happy to see that she was just going off the rails a little bit, but I was kind of hoping that she was just going to start getting haunted. I really wanted that. She just starts screaming out, "Yes, I did it! It was me! I stole your work and I'm so sorry!" And I was just like, what are you doing? Candice was like, I really didn't think you were going to admit to everything. Jesus.
I can see the temptation. She didn't even like her. It's not like they were actual friends.
She was just having fun and eating pancakes.
Until she wasn't.
Until she wasn't. God, imagine dying by choking on a pancake.
No.
Like, I liked the fact that we just sort of wound up in this loop that could have just kept going and going and going, because she was just like, I'm going to write a book about exactly what's happening. I'm going to tell the story from my perspective about how I was the victim because Candice has done this. And I was just like, and it was like, this is going to backfire so hard. And at several points I was like, did the author go through all this? Like, she was never trying to be funny. She just was. Oh, where's that ridiculous one-liner train wreck that I loved in the beginning? This is like one of those classic pieces of media where you're aware that they've done something really, really awful, but because you're forced to get to know them, you wind up liking them in the end. A bit like Jaime Lannister. If my friend just died and I find a manuscript in their house where they've just died in front of me, my first thought is not, oh, this will be a good brain exercise. Yeah, absolute garbage person.
Still kind of loved her though. I didn't love her in that, like, she's a good person. I just very intrigued by her and a very good character. And also, for God's sake, like, eye roll, but also this is hilarious. This is about to get so much more chaotic. Yeah. I definitely recommend it.
It's like watching a Netflix special. It's a one-time thing, but it was good. You know.
Next week we'll be discussing A Court of Thorns and Roses, so don't forget to get your comments and thoughts in by Monday the 4th of September at the latest to be a part of the discussion. You can now do this on YouTube, TikTok or Instagram. I'll also be setting up a WhatsApp group to discuss A Court of Thorns and Roses. If you're interested, then please let me know and I will send you a link. The following week will be Poppet. Now don't forget, if you do need a little bit longer to read a book, I do now list the next 4 books down below so you can choose which one best suits you. And just a reminder, there'll be no Panic at the Book Club on Tuesday the 19th of September. However, it should return as normal the following week. I thank you for joining, and if you like this video, please don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will see you all next week. Bye.